Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel, and welcome to Lookback, a show where I take a look at the reviews that I did a year, 5 years, and 10 years ago, and tell you what I think about them now. So let's take a look at last year. This week I reviewed Seventh Guess, which is one of the worst games ever made. It sure made me laugh at how bad it was. Roll and move, a mishmash of just really bad questions, some few good questions, but mostly bad questions. Not that good of quality. Based on a property I actually really liked, this was a very unfortunate one. Find Sand. This is a weird game from Friedman Freese where it's kind of like a deck building game, but you're passing cards off to the person next to you. You are following a certain pattern. It just felt very stale. Didn't feel that interesting. It felt like once you played it once, you've seen everything. Like the second time I played, it was the same as the first. Lions and Tigers and Bears, oh my, is a dice rolling game aimed at kids where you're trying to roll, kind of a little bit of a push your luck, good for kids. Ganymede. I didn't dislike this game. It was an okay game. It's kind of an engine building game, but right when the engine gets a little interesting, the game ends. Big Money. Kind of a silly game. It looks like a silly game with big money on it. You're rolling dice and trying to own properties that match that to get big money in. Again, a light, almost party-style game, but it was fun. Hokkaido. This was a sequel game of sorts, which was the first one was a quote-unquote trick-taking game. This one was a drafting game, which worked much better. As you draft cards and build an area in front of you and score for the different ways that the area was built. A really nice, small game. I like it. Coin and Crown, a deck-building game with some very minimalistic artwork. I think it could have been improved. It could have been better, but as it was, it kind of stands out as you're kind of collecting, well, coins and cards to make a better deck. Chivalry, a game in which you are trying to find knightly virtues. I really like the theming of this game as you're trying to figure out the best way to get these and score. It could have used better art, I think, a better production value overall, but still a fun game. Sleepy Princess Pile Up. This is a dexterity game for kids. You're stacking up on mattresses. Sleepy Princess has been around for a really long time. This is a new version of it. Very well done for very little kids. And The Boldest, still a game that I like a lot. This game in which you're playing cards, a simultaneous selection of playing cards. There's a lot of the games out there. The Boldest felt different. Also, it has a really neat universe of kind of a post-apocalyptic and yet the trees have taken back over type of thing. Really neat, and it's one that completely went under the radar. Check it out. All right, let's take a look at 5 years ago. 5 years ago, there's Foreclosed, a game about bidding, and the guy from Monopoly has gone broke, and you're taking over his stuff. That's basically my opinion of it. Temporum, another kind of one of those games that sounds more interesting when you look at it, but just wasn't very interesting. Dead Man's Draw. This is a push your luck style game, which was okay. There's a lot of other better, more clear ones. The Ancient World. I dropped the Ancient World's rating because second edition came out and it just completely replaced the first one. To the point where you're like, oh, these are really cool. Oh yeah, I can see the problems in the first one now a little bit. The Titans now are more deadly. It just works better. So I thought it was fine. The only reason the rating's gone down is because the new one's better. Rattlebones. This is the first dice customization game, and it's good. Dice Forge is so much better, honestly. This one is a very light game. I would pretty much recommend it for kids. Food Chain. Not Food Chain Magnet, just Food Chain. Kind of another push your luck dice game where you're trying to rule the animals that will eat other animals. I like that one. Potato Man, a very interesting trick-taking game with a funny theme of getting a potato man. Murano, I really thought about bumping this rating up, but then I figured 8's probably where it's at. Murano's a really cool game where you're moving these boats around the outside board, taking actions. It's your typical Euro game with a lot of stuff going on. But it's kind of a sleeper. When I first saw it, I was like, I'm not going to really like this. But I really did enjoy it. And it's kind of weird because there's Murano, too. This is different. I actually like both games. Murano, though, is one I think has staying power. And then Roll for the Galaxy. What can I say about Roll for the Galaxy? This was an amazing game, the sequel to Race for the Galaxy. Over the past 5 years, my rating of them has switched. I think I like Race a little bit better, but Roll is solid, and I have a great time every time I play it. 10 years ago. I took a look at Jurassic Wars, a dinosaur fighting game. Meh. Fun theme, not a great game. Claustrophobia. I got a lot of flames on my review of this one. Just not a big fan of it. It's partially a theme, not really so much. I think the theme where you're some unnamed brute forced to go down in a dungeon. There's a lot of cool things about claustrophobia, but I think my biggest problem with claustrophobia was just it felt samey. I kept fighting the same demons over and over and over and over again. Z loves it, so don't worry, Dice Tower still approves of it. Endeavor. This one was just remade, kind of a nation colonization style game. A lot of cool pieces, a lot of good things going on. And then Rise of Empires. This one I dropped a little bit from Martin Wallace. This one was remade as Struggle of Empires, but Rise of Empires is a fine game. Has some, I think, wonky combat, if I remember correctly. But this kind of convoluted Martin Wallace-y style game has slightly just dropped for me. I can look at it and say, that's a pretty cool game. It's just not one that I'm as interested in playing nowadays. Anyway, those are the reviews I did 1, 5, and 10 years ago. I'm Tom Vasel. Thank you. You've been watching Look Back on the Dice Tower. See y'all later.